Welcome back to the I Don't Want a Divorce podcast. This is the first podcast of 2022. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year in the Lord. We are praying for a great year of podcasts to empower more spouses in marital crisis, because that's what we do, and to save more marriages. Also what we do. Well, God does it, but he uses us, and we thank him for that. You can help us in our mission to spouses in crisis by subscribing to this podcast, and frankly, also to my YouTube channel, and leaving a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. This will help us. Now, today I kick off a new podcast series based on my new book from Moody Publishers, Enough is Enough, a step-by-step plan to leave an abusive relationship with God's help. This is a revised, expanded, and updated version of my original self-published Enough is Enough book. In fact, today, January 4, is the release date for the new book. You can buy it anywhere books are sold, including on my website, davideclarke.com. That's Clarke with an E, where, frankly, all my resources are. If you buy the book from my website, which you don't have to do, I'll sign your copy, and the blonde will mail it to you. Now, if you bought the original Enough is Enough book, and many of you did, you may want to buy this new one as well. We have an expanded definition of abuse, 5 chapters defining abuse, because this is a word that's thrown around a lot these days. I'm going to make very clear, and Moody helped me with this, to be very clear what abuse is and what it's not. Many more stories and examples of abuse in this new book, and more scripture to support leaving an abuser. The most important thing in my life and ministry is following what the Bible teaches, and so we made that very clear in this new book. If you're in an abusive relationship or know someone who is, this new Enough is Enough book is for you. Now let's start talking about abuse in relationships. The title here is What Abusers Really Think, Say, and Do. I want to make it very clear what they're like. Because a lot of ladies, and men even, I'm not sure if this is really abuse. You're so used to abuse, you've forgotten what it really is. I'm going to help you with that. The person who is supposed to love you and take care of you has been consistently treating you in one or more abusive ways. Any one of these following behaviors, taken to an extreme, can be enough to call him abusive. Let's look at what abusers really think, say, and do. In each of these categories, I am describing severe abuse. All spouses make mistakes, and we hurt each other. This is well beyond that. This is what abuse really looks like. I verbally abuse you. I'm highly critical of you, especially when you don't meet my expectations, and you rarely meet my expectations. I mock you and belittle you for your shortcomings. I attack you personally for your weight, your parenting, your housekeeping, and any area in which you or your actions are unacceptable to me. Sarcasm is my second language. When you complain, I say, you're too sensitive. I was just kidding. Or if you'd change, I wouldn't have to criticize you. I'm going to continue to shred you verbally until there's nothing left of you. Of course, they don't say that, but that's what they are intending to do. I neglect your needs. The truth is, I'm only aware of my needs. If you would meet my needs, then I would meet yours. Too bad you never fully meet my needs, so you're on your own. It's all about me, and don't forget it. Listen to me and watch my actions. I'm never going to lift a finger to meet your needs. I refuse to communicate. Classic narcissistic, abusive trait. I don't like to feel vulnerable, so I don't share my feelings or talk with you on a personal level. And here's the kicker, and I never will. You can't have a marriage with someone like this, of any kind of intimacy. Feel free to share your thoughts and feelings with me, but I won't be listening. If you rattle on too long or press me to open up and talk, I'll end the conversation, in quotes, by snapping at you or walking away. I have shut down 1 million conversations with you, and I'm going to shut down 1 million more. I give you the silent treatment. Many of you have gone through the silent treatment, classic abusive technique. When you do or say something that upsets me, I shut down and ignore you. I also use this technique every time you have the nerve to tell me about a hurt I caused you. How dare you? When you express an opinion different from mine, I take it as a personal attack. I can stay silent for days and weeks, even months. I'm punishing you and teaching you never to upset me. I will not allow you to have a voice. My opinion is the only one that matters. I will never talk through any difficult issue with you. Never. I control you. Classic narcissistic abusive technique. I control every area of your life. your contact with your family and friends, where you go, who you spend your time with, how much of my money, and it's all my money you can spend and what you can spend it on, what clothes you can buy and wear. I mean, this never ends. The church we attend, and if I don't like the church for some reason, you've got a bunch of friends, it's good for the kids, we're leaving that church if someone says something that offended me. And of course, how you parent. I'll make the parenting decisions. I have to approve every purchase you make, but I can spend my money however I choose. Double standard. Since I'm a lot smarter than you, this control makes sense. If you resist, you're not being submissive. And you know what? Many churches will back me up on this. And frankly, they will, even though they're wrong. If you stay with me, I will force you to live the way I want you to live for the rest of my life. Here's another classic expression of narcissistic abuse. I'm destroying you financially. I spend too much money. I make bad investments. I don't pay our taxes on time. I knew one lady, she found out I was working with her. Her husband hadn't paid the taxes in 5 years. You know what the IRS does to people like that? They destroy them. He didn't have the courtesy to tell her, I'm not paying our taxes, because frankly, he didn't care. I lie about how I use money. You don't know this, but I'm not saving any money for our retirement. I run up huge debts without telling you. Some of these guys go from business to business to business, from job to job to job, because they can't get along with people. Don't bother working too hard to pay off my debts. You know what? Hey, isn't that what bankruptcy's for? I'll just run up more debts. Never stops. Or there's the guy that's the lazy slacker. I'm a lazy slacker. I don't like to work, and so I avoid it as much as I can. Again, job to job, long stretches of unemployment. You know what? I might get a steady job one day, but don't count on it. I'm so glad I have you to support me for the rest of my life. I know ladies who are killing themselves. I saw 2 this last week in my office. Actually, the last week of the year before I stopped, who had their own businesses, and they're married to guys who refuse to work. Oh my goodness. No, that's abuse. Oh, anger. Anger is often part of abuse. I have angry outbursts. My tolerance for frustration is quite low, and often, unpredictably, I blow up. If I'm having a bad day, you're going to have a bad day. I take my stress out on you. I raise my voice, I use profanity, I throw things, and I damage property. I fly into a rage over the smallest, most trivial things. After my outburst of rage, I act as though nothing happened, or I'll stay angry and cold for days. I don't think I have an anger problem, so I won't ever get help to fix it. The answer is just don't upset me. Never do anything that upsets me. Of course, that's impossible. I'm violent. Now, not every abuser is physically violent. Some are. When I get angry, I have to hit someone. Since you are the one who usually gets me angry, I hit you. I slap you, I punch you, I choke you, I pin you down, I throw you on the bed, and whatever else I feel like doing in my rage. I'm out of control at that point. But it's your fault for provoking me. It isn't my fault, it's your fault. Simply never provoke me and I won't hit you. Just so you know, I'm never going to stop hitting you. I say to clients, one time, count it, one time of any physical violence of any type is a serious situation. You leave that person and you leave immediately, as soon as you can. Get to a shelter, get to a family's house, get to a friend's home, take your kids. At that point, I've had some men that will actually make the changes, but if you don't leave after 1, there's going to be 2, there's going to be 3, and it will never stop. Why? Because you're taking it. That person needs serious help. Only way they're going to get it is if you leave. I'm an alcoholic. I love to drink and I'm not going to stop. Too bad. I might go to a few rehabs. I'm not stopping. Here's another one. I'm a drug abuser. Even though I'm an adult, I use harmful drugs. Want to live with someone like that and have the kids watch him use drugs and be aware of drug use? They're going to use drugs then. The drugs help me cope with stress. They give me a rush. If I don't use harmful drugs, illegal or legal, I am addicted to prescription drugs. Oh yeah, I'm ran across many guys like this and even some ladies. My drugs are more important to me than God, you, our kids, and my career. I'll do the occasional rehab, but I'm not going to stop. I have sexual issues. Many abusers do. I need sex, a lot of sex, so I pressure you for it all the time. I force you to do sexual things you really don't want to do. But it isn't about you, it's about me and my pleasure. I don't want or need an emotional or physical connection with you. I just want sex. At times it will feel like rape to you, but don't tell me that. We're married. I don't care. You're not going to do anything about it, so whatever. Or I'm on the opposite side of sexual desire. I see a lot of this too, and refuse to be physically intimate with you. You ask for sex, you beg and plead and cry, but I reject you. I'm going to reject you sexually as long as you stay with me. Could be I'm a sexual sinner. Many abusers will fall into this category, and pornography is at epidemic levels anyway, in the church. I like porn, and I watch it whenever I can. It's so easy to access, and it's not hurting anyone, except for you, and I don't care about you. I have emotional affairs with coworkers, neighbors, and Facebook friends. At times, I may also have had physical affairs. Hey, I have sexual needs, and since you won't meet them, or you won't be good enough for me sexually, what choice do I have? Again, there's no empathy here. There's absolutely no conscience. Sociopathic. I'm going to continue to sinning sexually because it's fun for me. Since you know about my sexual sins and stay with me anyway, I guess you're okay with it. Like I care. And here's one of the classic hallmarks of the abuser. I blame you for everything. It's never my fault. Whenever there's tension or conflict in our relationship, it's your fault. Whenever I'm upset, and I'm upset a lot, it's your fault. I blame others too, but eventually I'll get around to blaming you. Our money problems are your fault. Our marriage problems are your fault. If our kids get into trouble, guess whose fault it is? Yours. If you are miserable and depressed, guess whose fault that is? Yours. It's always your fault, and it will always be your fault. Okay, abusers don't have warning labels. They should have them stamped on their dumb foreheads. They don't. And abusers don't talk this way that I've just talked. Of course they don't. If they did, no one would ever date or marry them. They're all about looking good, and saying these things out loud would not make them look good. But I know abusers, and this is what they think, and this is what they do. Abusers can be incredibly charming. They're wonderful in the dating phase of a relationship. They don't show their abusive traits until you've fallen in love with them. That could even happen during the dating phase. Once they've got your heart, they've got you. Once an abuser has your heart, the abuse begins. And there's a very good chance it will never stop. Now, I know you wonder, many of you wonder if am I in an abusive relationship or someone close to you is in an abusive relationship? You don't know how much more you can take. I'm here to tell you that you don't have to take it anymore, and I'm going to make it very clear. You're going to know if there's abuse or not. I'm going to tell you exactly what abuse looks like. I've just begun that in this first podcast. I'm going to tell you exactly what to do about the abuse. You don't have to stay with an abusive partner. You absolutely do not. God doesn't want you to. This person who has expressed love for you is acting in ways that are opposite of love. And the Bible's clear, explicit teaching to husbands and is acting in a way that is the opposite of love. Husbands, love your wives. Ephesians 5:25 teaches, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Also, Proverbs 31:28, Colossians 3:19, 1 Peter 3:7. It's time to take action against a sinful person like this. Plan A, or any plan up to now, has not worked. It's time for Plan B. Dr. Clarke has Plan B. And I'm convinced I've seen God bless this Plan B over and over again. It really becomes his Plan A for your life. Now, I'll continue my series on abuse in my next podcast. And to get the new book, if you want this new book, I will show you the cover again. I love the cover. Moody did a great job on the cover. If you want this new book, go to my website and you can order it. All right, it's been released as of January 4, as of today, and you can get this book really anywhere books are sold. If you want a signed copy from me, order it from my website, David E. Clarke, Clarke with an A, David E. Clarke, PhD.com, or you can go any other places. Amazon, of course, will have it for less. Barnes & Noble, wherever you want to do to get the book into your hands. Okay, I will see you next week as I continue to go over this material in Enough is Enough, a step-by-step plan to leave an abusive relationship with God's help.